Oh, so you done put us in a library.
Hmm. I can't. This is interesting. It won't let me share. I don't know what that's about. Okay. Oops. I didn't even turn off notifications.
We're in a library. Hi, people. Oh, I just thought this was a test run, baby.
Interesting. You won't let me share.
Look at my wife. You know she look like a librarian. You're so pretty. Why am I disappearing?
All right. I can't share it the normal way, so I'm going to just now the share button's up there. Interesting. Wasn't up there before.
I don't know what to do on my phone. Can you believe it? Oh, it's in my pocket. Ha ha! Sharing is caring.
Yeah, let me see. All right. Anyway, top of the hour because I have schoolwork to do. Of course, like always. And I want to get a head start on it because I have 2 assignments to do and they're due next week. And because it's finals, this is the last week of our term. And we were supposed to have class today, but the professor couldn't get the seminar Zoom to work. So now we're kind of flying in the dark trying to figure out this assignment in which the instructions are very confusing. So I'll work on that. Top of the hour. Let me think.
Diddy will be released tomorrow. Psych.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, we'll see. I forgot his sentencing was tomorrow, I guess. We'll see what that turns into for Mr. Diddy. But
The Diddler. Who came up with that name?
not sure. Anything else to talk about?
No, I was just saying something.
No. I can't
let's
think
talk
of
about how
it.
beautiful you are. Look at my wife.
Please stop.
Listen. So she don't wear her glasses often, right? Look at her, y'all. She looks lawyerish, like a professor or something. Dr. Lawyer Zorano.
He's the only one that I don't know, fascinated by that. Like you all, most of my friends, everyone have seen me in glasses, probably the majority of my life. So, anyway,
I've been with you 4 years, and I've probably only seen you with them twice.
whatever.
You've been neglecting me.
I'm trying to think. There was something that happened last week that I was gonna bring up, but I can't remember. But you know what? I can't. Today, I finally realized something. My mom used to say when I would ask her, like, why didn't this person do this or why didn't a person do that? It mainly was like something that you should normally be able to expect a person to do, right? And she would always say, something like, because it was just too much like right. And I'll be like, what she mean by it's too much like right? And she always like, because it's too much like right. Right? Because it's too much like right. But I really figured that out today. And when I thought about it, I was like, okay, I understand it now. What it means when someone says that's because it's too much like right, and it basically means that to do the right thing would take extra work for a person. So because it would take extra work, and that person they don't necessarily want to put in the extra work, then it's too much like right. Like they know it's the right thing to do, but the extra work they're not gonna put in. So it's too much like right. Too much like right, too much like extra work that they have to do, and too much, I guess, time taken from them.
I didn't know they wasn't plugged in.
Yeah,
because
that's
they were
what he
sitting
says.
there.
That's what he says.
Because
Pretty
I
sure
guess
if he
I
had
see.
checked, he would have.
Yeah, I didn't check.
But he didn't check.
I didn't check.
He's trying to get back on his game,
No,
apparently.
no. Because what happened was she's talking about the lights that we use for this.
All day.
And what happened?
Normally, I would have been running up here at 9:00 trying to stay on task for something that we agreed that we would do. And I couldn't even get him to set it up for me like I asked him to, because it was too much like right.
And that's what she would think when the lights was already here from last week, and I thought they were still plugged up. I didn't even look.
You didn't check. It was too much like right to take the time to check.
I mean, I was too much like, why would it not be plugged up if it was sitting in the same spot and we normally don't keep it there? But
because
whatever.
It's a tripping hazard, and so why would somebody keep cords plugged up across the room?
We're having a marital debate in front of y'all. Y'all see this? But why would we keep the lights there and we normally don't keep them there? So therefore,
because no one moved them, because they wouldn't have got moved unless I moved them. Because he doesn't pick up. He doesn't help pick up anything.
Not true. But
that's very true.
It's very much not true. Why would I think that if they're still there, why would I think they would not be?
Why would you think that they were?
Because why would they not be unplugged?
Because all it took was a simple glance over there to see. Like, it's very simple. You could see the cord just hanging from it. I'm confused. But it was too much like right. So I'm okay with that. Thank you, Mommy. Too much like right. I'm just stick with that. I'm practice joy, guys, every day. So, hey, it is what it is. But anyway, we're going to talk about upbringing. And it was very interesting because when I did a quick Google search about topics that people should discuss during marriage, or even before they get before they get married, one of the suggestions was that they should talk about their upbringing. And I thought, well, that's normal conversation. I mean, everyone kind of talks about their upbringing and hints upon their upbringing when they're dating someone. I mean, usually they say like, hey, I was raised like this, or I was raised like that. But then the more I thought about it and the more research I did, then I was like, yeah, I don't know if people in the dating stage really connect the dots like they should with regards to upbringing. And so when I was researching it, it was talking about a bunch of different things that people should consider, depending on how their potential partner, their partner has been raised. And so, when you think about it, a person's upbringing, especially if they haven't dealt with it beforehand, can cause a lot of chaos in a relationship, a lot of tension. So one of they talk about different areas, right? So one of the areas they talked about was attachment styles. And attachment style is largely based upon attachment theory. So attachment theory was one of Travis Hershey's. He's a sociologist, and he would always talk about attachment theory, attachment bond. And you probably learned this in your class. What he was talking about is that when people have bonds or attachments or bonds, he mostly focused on that with regards to juvenile delinquency, or just like any delinquency, or when people do things that they shouldn't do. But he was saying, like, when a person has attachment to like their parents, this emotional attachment, or if they have attachment to their community, strong attachment to their community, if they have strong attachment to their church, and I actually wrote a thesis on this, they were less likely to engage in behaviors or characteristics that would reflect badly upon like them, and because they didn't want to disappoint their parents, or because they didn't want to disappoint the community they were raised in, or because they didn't want to disappoint the church that they attended. And so attachment theory talks about how early relationship with like your caregivers influence adult romantic relationships, and it's based on like these emotional needs, like whether or not a person had their emotional needs met. So it says if you had a secure if your attachment style was secure, that means you were raised in a loving and supporting and consistent environment, you're more likely to develop a secure attachment style. And as an adult, then you tend to be comfortable with intimacy and independence, and you're able to trust your partners and communicate openly. However, if you were raised in an inconsistent or unreliable caregiving situation, that can lead to an anxious, preoccupied attachment style in adulthood. And it can manifest as a fear of abandonment, a strong need for constant reassurance, or emotional clinginess. And then there's the avoidant. When you are raised in an environment where your caregiver was emotionally unavailable or neglectful, you could develop an avoidant, dismissive attachment style. So these are adults who prioritize their independence. Sometimes they avoid intimacy, and they may be uncomfortable with emotional closeness. And then there's the disorganized. So this style develops when you have a history of abuse or trauma or chaotic family dynamics. And in this type of situation, adults will have a disorganized attachment style, which may fluctuate between wanting intimacy, pushing people away, which leads to unpredictable and confusing behaviors. So that's what they were talking about when they referred to the attachment style. And that's just one little area of upbringing that they were talking about that can actually it can actually be indicative of how your partner will be towards you. So in other words, if you're talking to your partner and they're saying, well, my upbringing was, we were always moving, it's always chaos, there was a lot of substance abuse, there was a lot of blah, 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 that may be a strong indicator of how they will be in your relationship. What do you think?
I don't know. I honestly don't, because again, I try to apply all of it. Like, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about how my upbringing was, and it definitely was in a chaotic type of atmosphere. I don't think my mother was really emotionally there for me, but I don't know if I fall into any of those categories. That's for you to answer. I do understand to the extent of the sometimes I would push people away, or people that tried to give me a family. Mm-hmm. But then at times I guess I'd fall into it a little bit right there. But then at times it's like I would want to be around people, mm-hmm. but then I'll push people away because it wasn't it wasn't my family, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would. Yeah, that's interesting.
And I think
the question is, you answer that. Yeah, you've been married to me for some years now, and you see how I act, and you know how I was brought up. So where do you think I fall in that? That's the question.
I think you have. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of a combination of them, because I think your family dynamics was a combination of all this with some of these things.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think what else is important to understand is that, like here it tells you like this is what the person will do, like they'll be avoidant, or have a strong need for reassurance. But it's important to point out that stuff manifests itself in different ways. So it may not manifest itself in the most obvious way to you, but when you start thinking in depth about their behavior, that's where it stems from. Do you get what I'm saying? So like it may be like a person may think avoiding emotional closeness would be some type of outward, not wanting to say I love you, but it really could be a person who is detached sometimes from their spouse, or a person who, you know what I'm saying? It can manifest in different ways other than the obvious ways that we would think of it manifesting itself.
Yeah, you said that to me before, and I still yet have figured out. While I understand what you're saying, I have figured out how certain things affect me and manifested in my life to get me to be the person that I was. Uh, I think you agree. My daughter had told me one time that I was I was dealing with so many women because of I was missing something from my mother, and I often disagree with that. And I don't want to say that that wasn't the case now 100%, but I mean I told you why I thought that I did it. So because I wasn't getting the attention in high school from everybody. So then when people started thinking that I was whatever, but so I just don't know how that where that would make that manifest like that though. Like with me just
Probably the need for attention to begin with, to that level. Because sometimes I think it manifests itself in exaggerated ways. So like the behavior could look like something any normal teenager would do or any normal young adult would do. But I think when it becomes exaggerated in a sense, then that's where you can tell like, okay, yeah, this is something more than what the average person would do. This stems from something deeper than that. This stems from not having that emotional closeness with their parent and not having the attention that they wanted. Because think about it. I mean, a lot of young people, a lot of young adults, a lot of grown people want attention, period, or like attention. Like that's just something. And I would put that in the realm of almost a normalcy. But I think when it gets to the point where it's so exaggerated, where you're like obsessed with it, then that's a difference. Or when it comes to the point where you're doing so many things. For example, when it gets to the point where you're like, some people may lie. I'm not saying that lying is okay because that's a little different. But you have people who wanted attention, so they would lie, or when they were little, they found out that if I lied about something, I would get attention, right? So then they grew up lying, here and there, blah blah blah. That would almost be in the range of normalcy. But when they get to the point where they're lying about how much they got, how much money they got, where they work at, blah blah blah. Now that's exaggerated form of it. So that's now you're getting to the point where it's like, okay, no, this is something that was going on because
that part is definitely it, but I don't think that starts that part. Well, I don't know. I don't think that part necessarily starts in the house. That part, I think that starts with your peers. That part of lying about what you have and this, that, and the third. Because just knowing, certain groups of people and how the black culture says that you have these celebrities that has to Floyd Mayweather's and 50 Cent and all these people that got to count money and this, that, and the third. A lot of people ain't growing up seeing their parents count that type of money and do that type of thing. So I think some kind of way the culture kicks in and gets you to need that attention.
Well, that's one place that it can come from.
Because I think even with me, because I was one of them people that wanted to make it seem like I had more than what I had. And that goes back to the upbringing, because I guess because certain times I got teased in school, and then when I started getting a little bit, like you said, I started exaggerating it. Well, I didn't really start exaggerating it because people started believing because of the profession I chose, and I exaggerated it heavily. So, okay. I can see it connecting that way.
Yeah, so and still though, even so, you do have young people who don't have the same thing that other kids their age have, but who come from really strong, loving families, and they don't they may hide what they don't have before they just start lying and exaggerating it, or they may work really, really hard to start accomplishing thing. They may become a workaholic or something to get what they want. And I'm not saying that is, but I'm just saying, but they don't lie, like exaggerate lie. So that's just an interesting part of it. They also talk about communication and conflict resolution. And it was saying, like, if you were raised where your family had open and honest communication, and they resolved issues with respect and open dialogue, they're more likely to communicate effectively with their partner. But if they grew up in a family that avoided conflict, it may lead someone to shut down or withdraw during disagreements rather than address the underlying issues. Or if they were raised in an environment with aggression or criticism, if a person witnessed parents fighting aggressively or using hostile communication with each other, they may be prone to repeating these destructive patterns in their own marriage. And so that's another thing that I think people, like, they know, I think, but I don't think they understand the impact that it can have on their relationship and their marriage if their partner was raised in that type of environment. Because those things are, and I will talk about this later because I was talking about changing mental landscape, but all of these things are not something that's just snap your finger because they're in a relationship with you now and they just change. It just doesn't work that way.
That's why I be thinking sometimes I'm weird, because I was the total opposite. Again, I have to, for the millionth time, put myself, in order for me to make these things connect, I have to kind of feel it, right? And I listen to what you're saying, and I put myself in that. I was, with my parents arguing, and I had aggression and everything else. I chose the total opposite of that. Like, there's been times, if you think about it, when we have, before I begin to try to learn about more effective communication, where I just be like, okay, and I'll just shut down and don't say nothing. So I would avoid it, because I learned now why I'm avoiding it, because that was traumatizing to me. And like certain things, when I arguing with my kid's mother, no matter how wrong they are, I just never argued in front of my kids because that's what I think. So I chose the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Versus it.
But it was still, yeah, but still, I guess thinking about this, you have to realize that it can go both ways. It can be exaggeration in one direction or exaggeration in another direction.
Like, even with me watching my mother get abused, I made it a point to never ever try to raise my hand to a woman, like, because I seen my mother and what she went through. So I was like, yeah, I could never do nobody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I get it. I guess if you see that repeatedly, then you would think that that's okay potentially, and that's how you was raised. So, yeah.
The other one was inherited patterns and values, and it talks about gender roles. For example, like, if a person's family may have modeled traditional or progressive gender roles, which can influence their expectations for who performs which task in their partnership. Intergenerational trauma, experiences like neglect or abuse can leave lasting emotional scars that affect an adult's ability to trust, regulate emotions, and form secure bonds. And then it said even views on money, financial attitudes, and habits observed in childhood, such as saving versus overspending or fighting over money, can carry over into adult relationships.
Yeah, okay, so that's a whole nother. I think I wonder what type of study, what type of people that was studied on.
Why?
Just because I learned all my money habits and things from outside of my family, me not seeing that. So
you may think, I don't know, you may think you did, but in essence, you didn't, because you observed.
I be wanting to argue these studies so bad.
I'm just saying, you observed. So when somebody say observing poor spending, right, or whatever, or a person not using money wisely, or it may not be that you saw it directly, like, oh, they spending money on frivolous things, but it could have impacted, like, it could be shown through conditions you're living in, or it could be shown in the fact that because you didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, so that influences how you look at money and how you view money. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had both though.
Both what?
While I was in New York, I had everything I wanted. So I don't know. I don't think those studies work for me.
I'm pretty sure it
I'm
does.
pretty sure it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Because I'm my total opposite of what these studies be saying.
You're not really, not from my experience with you. You really not.
Am.
You do. You definitely not.
Okay,
so why do you think that in New York you had because your parent was giving you money, you feel like you had everything?
No, I'm saying from a financial standpoint, yeah.
Okay, so that led you to overspend because they were just giving you money that you didn't need.
Yep.
So you were overspending. So that influenced how you spent money. Okay. That influenced how you worked later on in life.
Then when I got down here, and I really didn't have that, then how would that?
It can still go so it can go from, again, you can be on both extremes. There's a lot of people who didn't have anything growing. Matter of fact, it was probably worse for you because you'd already been instilled with this whole overspending thing. So then once you had to deal with a situation where you didn't have money, that probably even drove your desire to overspend even more. Because like, okay, once I get some money, I'm gonna spend it like I want to spend it because that's what I'm used to. So that drove it. That probably even made it worse, to be honest.
Yeah, that's possible. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
One.
No, there's been a lot of these that kind of apply to you.
That one. We'll see.
Apply to you. So far, we went through a whole bunch that apply to you. Well, the intergenerational trauma experiences like neglect or abuse can leave lasting emotional scars that affect an adult's ability to trust, regulate emotions, and form secure bonds. That's definitely you.
I've had secure bonds.
You have a hard time regulating your emotions, and when I met you, you had it was horrible actually. Your ability to regulate emotions.
With that.
It really is not. I told the counselor, I said, you can't even regulate his emotions right.
That's not true.
That's very true.
That's not true.
That's very true.
You have to give me an example.
That is very true.
You have to give me an example because I was regulating my emotions very fine.
I don't know who told you that.
Me.
That's a lie.
When I met you, when we had disagreements, I spoke with you. I was like, no, we're not doing this.
And but to be honest, I mean, there's been examples where you haven't done that. Now you've gotten better at that because you were even working on today when you was like, see, I just want to blah, but I'm not going to do that but that would have been your normal. That's considered not being able to regulate your emotions. And then you were today when you were going to speak to them people, even though you're angry. So no, I mean, you've gotten bad, but like to begin with, like, no.
I just think you're very good at that. I just think I just tell people how I feel. That's not.
Because even when you got into panic situations, you did things that were kind of like, why would you do that though? Yeah. So then they also talk about partner selection and perception. So childhood experiences can unconsciously influence a person's choice of partner and the perception of relationship. And of course, we all kind of hear about this every now and then. But again, I don't think it's something that we put as much importance on as we should. One of the things you should be thinking about, even when we do self-reflection on ourselves, is when someone approaches us and someone is interested, and we should be asking, why are they interested in me? Because if we are honest with ourselves, no, I'm serious. If we are honest with ourselves, we all have various different flaws and stuff. And I'm not saying that it has to be like a flaw that's attracting them, but we all do have different flaws. And so one of the questions should be like asking the partner, okay, what actually draws you to me? What do you like about me? Because what they're saying is that sometimes a person seeks they seek what's familiar to them, right? So a person may feel drawn to partners who mirror familiar, even unhealthy dynamics from their childhood. So if someone experienced emotional neglect, they may unknowingly choose an emotionally distant partner, not meaning to do so. If someone was used to maybe like their dad yelling all the time or that sort of thing, they may choose a partner who's going to speak to them in that way. Or if they're used to their mom, I'm trying to think, but even if men are used to for example, if men are used to, we hear about this all the time. If a man is used to his mom taking care of everything and providing with everything, he may choose a woman that portrays that she'll do that. That she'll not knowingly, not intentionally saying, oh, I got somebody that's going to take care of me, but that may be something that subconsciously happens, unconsciously happens.
Yep, don't fall in that category either.
Fixing the past. Some people may seek a partner who needs rescuing in an attempt to heal old childhood wounds or right or wrong from their past. We just talked about this the other day with you. And I say, what I say to you? Why you always felt like you had to rescue somebody? Because every situation you tell me, you trying to rescue somebody. And then misreading cues. Children from dysfunctional families may have.
That one, hold on. That one may be a little bit accurate. I was sitting here trying to figure out why would I feel like I had to rescue somebody? Well, I guess because I started thinking like, is this somebody's child or if they had kids, is somebody's mother, and if I know a little bit better than them or show them how to get out of a situation or something. Maybe because I wanted my mother out of her situation.
How about say, could you try to rescue your mom?
I may agree with that one. But that last one I didn't agree with at all.
Which one?
The one about, yeah, because nobody in my family had no qualifications like you, buddy.
No, I get that. But I'm saying sometimes a person may seek, for example, somebody may seek a woman who's nurturing because they didn't receive that when they were younger. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, but sometimes our childhood reflect what we seek after.
But you should want a woman that's nurturing anyway.
I get that, but I'm saying they may want, I said there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying that may be driven by what they got, what they did or did not receive in childhood too. Some people have a real issue with like their spouse hugging on them all the time, or like they love them, but they have really issue with closeness like that. And it could be because they were so used to their parents not giving them hugs and stuff. So it's not like they don't like their spouse, but it's kind of like, that's too much for me. That's too much physical stuff for me because they're not used to it. And they may actually seek someone who is more hands off because that's not.
Well, I now you made me understand that, and I agree with that too, because certain things that I was doing with my daughter and all of my kids, actually, like I wanted to feel like a closeness to them and let them know that I love them just by, like you said, being physical, like letting them lay on me and sleep with me in the bed or whatever the case was, just all the time. Mm-hmm. So now I agree with that 110% because I didn't get to do that with my mother or father.
Yeah,
it was only until my father got sick when I actually was able to lay on him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I agree with that one.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Then it said misreading cues.
We are 8%.
Whatever. Children from dysfunctional families may have trouble reading emotional cues, causing them to misinterpret benign comments as rejection in their adult relationships.
That's so nah.
Yeah, that was definitely him starting off. Like you'd be like, no, that's not what I meant when I said that. Like, what are you talking about? Were you trying to say, no, that's not what I was trying to say at all.
I think that's an educational gap.
No, that's not an educational gap. Because some things you would take like offense to. And I'm like, that's not what I was saying. Like, what are you talking about?
It's the same thing when I say things to you. It was like, that's not what I'm trying to say.
They said misread emotional cues.
I don't know. You have to give me an example because I don't know what you're talking about.
But okay, so anyway, those were some of the examples he gave, and I got the article. I can send it to you.
Yeah, I need to read that.
And it was talking about like so upbringing is a foundation, and I think what's important for people to know is that it's a foundation. Like anything can be a foundation, but at the same time, that foundation can be broken up and changed. But it takes work. And it takes therapy, and it takes people realizing and changing their unhealthy patterns. And the change has to be something that you want for yourself, not something that you're doing because, I'm trying to save my relationship, or something you're doing because, my partner wants me to do it. It has to be something that you have to really engage in a mindset change, because what happens when you don't, and this is what I've always told him, and I've told her it, and I'll tell you a good example of this, even with him. But what happens when you don't?
You won't stop using me for examples.
I'm sorry. What happens when you don't do that, and when you don't really take the time to self-reflect and understand, like, no, this is something I really do need to change, is that all your changes are superficial. And so it's easy to revert back to that foundation that wasn't necessarily a good foundation. And the reason why I say I'll use him, because like even with the whole working out thing, like you hated that. Like your mindset never changed as far as I'm going to do this just for me because I want to be healthy. And so it was very easy for you to just be like, forget it and revert back, because it wasn't something. It's really hard for me to do that because my thing was like, no, I want to be healthy. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. And that actually just stuck in my mind. Like, no, my mind has changed. I don't want to live that way, period. And I'm doing it for me. Do you get what I'm saying? And because of that,
I got back up to 200 pounds.
But I still work out, and I still try to make sure that I'm eating healthier, and and I do have like cheat days and stuff like that. But I do at the same time say, okay, there's no way I'm gonna let myself get back, blah blah blah, because I did that for me. And and when I went to the doctor, it was funny because when I went to the doctor, I've been going to the doctor and just getting like everything just been messed up. Every time I go, it'd be like one thing after another. And I think it was a combination of hormones and everything else. But it was just so happening when I would go to the doctor, I would get some type of crazy test result or something. And when I went to the doctor, I had to go to my primary doctor for blood work, and I had to go to the gastro doctor and the liver doctor. And they, repeated tests that they had taken before that had shown like some horrible blah, blah, blah. And when I went this last time, and I was feeling pretty healthy because I was like, okay, yeah, I feel healthier. I feel like, I think I finally got my as far as what I should eat and, balancing out my weight so I'm not too small or too big and all this stuff. And then when I went to the doctor and my blood work was it was like, I've never had blood work that perfect before. And then when she did the test, like on my liver and stuff, she was just like, everything just looks great, like everything. And that was, I don't know, it was confirmation for me that, okay, yeah, this is where you wanted to be at.
Yeah, because she thought she was dying for like 3 years because they told her like her left eyelash had a little cut in it or something. Whatever. She just thought she was going to die.
That's not true. But it's just important, I think, for people to understand that change has to be internal. You have to mean it. You have to want it, because you may change those behaviors or think you're changing those behaviors, and you're doing it for the wrong reason, and then they don't stick.
And that was a perfect example of the weight loss thing, because when we was in Iowa, I definitely was doing it because like we was getting out the house, and then you were going, and it ain't like I really could go nowhere and do nothing. So I hated going to the gym, but I started seeing the results. Actually, it was before we went to Iowa though. Mm-hmm. But I started seeing the results. I was like, hey, yeah, this is pretty cool. I was like, hey, I had no stomach no more. I looked down and see my feet without my belly being in the way. So it was pretty cool. And it changed briefly for me, but then, like she said, it was easy for me just to, like, yeah, I ain't doing that. I don't feel like working out today. I don't feel like blah, blah. And I went from 170 pounds back to 200. So I didn't gain a 30. I'm halfway back to where I was at. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's definitely a fact, though. You definitely the biggest word the biggest, smallest word, and most powerful word that I've learned from you in these 4 years is the intentional thing. Mm-hmm. Being intentional. So even with everything, when you're talking about the mindset, that has to be intentional as well. You right. have to intentionally want to change your mentality. Now, I have on certain things, and certain things I haven't on. It's just like I keep finding myself getting into situations where I'm like, I want to spaz out because of XYZ, right? And then because part of me wanting not to be like that anymore, one, because I'm old, two, because I don't have time to be going to jail, and three is just like it's sometimes it becomes tiresome, mm-hmm. right? And that's with having like wanting to yell and curse people out. And the funny part is like we going through something like with a car we was trying to purchase, and I wanted to curse these people out. Like we've been talking nice for them for the whole week. And today is just like now, you ignore my phone calls, you got my money, I will whoop de whoop. Now I told my wife, I was like, okay, so now I'm at the point now I'm frustrated. I want to curse and I want to fight. And the intentional part, I said that to say this, the intentional part is that because I don't want to be like that anymore, I realize what is going on.
Right.
So, which I didn't do it, but like she said, the old me would have did it. And I know like situations like that can make things even worse. Mm-hmm. So, me understanding that and being intentional about trying to change that, it actually helps out a lot. Mm-hmm. So I agree with that, what you're saying too. Like you got to have you have to want to be better.
Yeah. For yourself.
And for yourself. And it can't be for nobody else but yourself. And you have to be intentional about wanting to be better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some of this is what happens in marriages and stuff where we talked before about impression management and everything. And I know everybody engages in that. But I think one of the things that people don't realize is that when you're doing something that is not your normal behavior, and when you're doing it because you're trying to date someone or you're trying to get someone attention, it's very easy to get comfortable and all that stuff go away.
Yep.
Because that was not your day-to-day anyway. Like that's not how you were as a person with a person. You know what I'm saying? So which is why it's a little troublesome. I know people are supposed to put their best foot forward and everything, but I think it's more important to be who you are.
Regular. From the
start. Like don't start off
being something that you can't maintain.
Right.
Because I think we talked about that before, and I kind of did that with you a little bit, maybe a little bit more than I don't know about that.
He said a little bit.
Yeah, whatever. But on the same token, like at the end of the day, for instance, I've always opened doors for people, right? But like she said, it was starting off trying to, this is how a gentleman's supposed to be, and this, that, and the third, and that went away. I still do it now. It's not as much as it was when we first started, and I do believe that a woman should never touch a door. I really believe that now, but the whole thing of because that's not who I was originally, just far as just every day doing that, that is my belief. It just became, after a while and getting comfortable, it just became like you said, going back to the regular thing. Mm-hmm. So that's
yeah, definitely what happens.
But I do open the door for you a lot now. Don't act like I don't now.
But the thing is, even if you want to start new habits, I think what's important is to tell your partner, hey, this is something new that I'm trying. That way they'll know if you forget that it's a new habit that you're trying to develop for them. There's nothing wrong with saying I want to do things differently, but I think you need to be truthful about it, because it's the same thing as when people's like they start spending money, like I'm spending money on this person because I want to impress them, and then it's like you get mad because the person expects. Well, you started off like that. Like if that's not the behavior you wanted to show them, why'd you do it? That's not you.
Yeah, we had that conversation a while ago. Men always want to, I got this amount of money and show money, or young guys anyway, and show their cars and jewelry and flash money. And once you get the girl, because that's what she wanted, and then you don't have it or don't want to spend it like that, then you want to start calling her a gold digger.
Yeah.
No,
right.
She's not a gold digger. That's what she wanted. That's what you showed. And because you can't give her what she wants, doesn't make her a gold digger.
Right.
That's on you at that point.
Or it's like the women who start off, I'm cooking meals for them and everything else, and then after you don't want to cook no meal. From the beginning you don't cook like that. Stop it.
Well, he should have known too, because if she don't cook like that, it ain't gonna taste.
I cook very well, but I didn't cook but I'm saying I didn't cook like that all the time for you, because that's not what something I was like did. Like I did it before when I was married. Like I cooked. I
would tell you what you did do and stop doing.
I did it before, but like I got to the point where I didn't do that. I didn't cook like that on a routine. Like forgets that. You know what I'm saying? Because I was
But then you know what though?
So I didn't start off our marriage with me cooking him meals every day, and because I'm like I'm too busy for that. Like I'm not gonna pretend to with you like I got time to do that.
But and the crazy part is, even if you did do that, that wouldn't have really been a big deal for me, because just for the simple fact of the matter is, I never really ate at home. Like
no,
that.
I get that, but I'm just saying
yeah.
some people do that, and then their partner like, she don't even cook for me anymore. That's because she really didn't cook before she met you, but she only was cooking because she thought that's what she should do to show you that she was wifey material.
Yep.
And so all of that. But I say all this to say, like, if you're, it's fine to start new routines and stuff when you're with someone, but it's important to communicate that to them.
And again, it has to be for you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things, like I said, everything that I try to do, it's because, and I've told you this, like, anything that I'm doing or trying to do different, ain't doing making me a better person. And me realizing and not liking the person that I was, anything I can do to become a better person for me is going to make me better for you. So there's a lot of stuff recently in the last couple of weeks, it's certain stuff that I thought that I had under control that I really don't have under control. I still got to work on this, huh? So it's
Well, I'm glad you said that though, because that's a good point too. People gotta be real with themselves.
Oh yeah,
they gotta be, and I mean, you faking like, oh well, I've changed. That does nothing.
And you might have, but you might have changed, and because you put it in your mind that you changed and you see the change, well, at least is with me. You get comfortable with the change, and there's no growth in the change. So it's a minimum change that you think is bigger than what it is.
Yeah, like you not intentionally, but the change in your head is exaggerated.
Yep.
Then probably the person that you should be asking anyway is your spouse. Have I really made gains?
I'm not asking you that because you tell me no. I could have made a game from here to California. You said I just went outside in the front door. So yeah, I'm not asking you. I figured out myself. Like I've been figuring out all this time. I know.
But the point is that, again, that type of stuff can cause chaos in relationships. And I think all of us have, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think there's a lot of us who have gone through something in our childhood that could potentially detrimentally impact our relationship with people. And we may not even know it, or it may not even manifest itself until you get into a relationship. You may go through all the time not knowing that you have any type of anything going on. But once you get in a relationship, for example, you may go through all this time because you've never really been in relationships, and then you get in a relationship or something like, I didn't realize I was a jealous type of person. Or I didn't realize I was a controlling type of person. You control, like, I didn't realize I was like that. You know what I'm saying? It could be something that can't manifest itself when you get in a relationship, which is why I think that it's important for people to start counseling as soon as possible, because there's always going to be something that you can talk about. There's always going to be something that you can work on. There's always going to be, no one is perfect. There's always going to be something that areas you can grow in. And why not make yourself the best version of yourself that you can be for yourself? And so that when you're in a relationship, it's healthy. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, it's for yourself because it helps you to better choose who your partners are. It's going to help you if you got getting yourself together and you're growing yourself. There's going to be certain people that you're not going to deal with. Period. Yeah. There's certain people that you're going to be like, you got too much going on.
But that's not even your partner. That's your friend.
That's your friends and everything. Yeah.
So I want to go back and say something. One of the things, what do you think the hardest thing that I struggle with trying to change? Just personally, not around the house or anything, just personally. You said it to me before.
Well, I said not being disciplined, I don't know.
No, it's because I was so quick to curse somebody out and just tell people how I feel and say F it or whatever it is. I actually have a hard time knowing when to and how to say stuff and tell people.
Oh yeah, I'll tell them. I said you can be assertive and respectful at the same time.
Like when I say I struggle with that bad, I struggle with that terribly bad, because it'll be things that I should say to people, or should address. Let me say it that way. That I don't, because you also told me that I don't know how to, that I say stuff mean too. So when I'm trying to be mean, I know I'm being mean. But she's told me that I say things in a messed up way or a mean way when I actually think that I'm not really being mean. So what that does for me is like it just makes me, not address certain things because it's like, okay, if I address it, then it may come out wrong, and that's what I've been trying to work on. But that's a hard struggle.
Yeah, because for a lot of the time with him, and that's the whole either goes one way or the other because it's like a total flip flop. There be times I'm like, okay, that's the time you should be saying blah 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 blah. Like he'll go off. I'm exaggerating, of course, but you don't go off when the person says, "Hey, Jermaine, what's up, bro?" Because they called you, bro. I'm gonna go off. You don't go off for that, and then somebody can be like, "Boy, something," and then you all calm. Like, why?
Yeah,
that's flip flop.
No, that's how you go off. Matter of fact, I'll tell you a story. I had a job. I had a white guy ride with me. And it was a black guy. Make a long story short, it was a black guy that rode by on little things called dirt bike. And then he looked up and was like, "Oh, a YN." So in my mind, I wanted to flip, but I didn't know how to appropriately handle it or say something to him. So all I said was like, "Hey man, I don't appreciate that." We had this conversation one time before, something like that. But I don't think, now that I think about it, I don't think I said that assertive enough. It was like more, he apologized, but it was more like a hee ha ha type of thing. Yeah, like, that ain't cool type of thing.
Right.
I know that I was serious, but I just think that I was, how you do your little laugh that I always tell you. You like you was talking to the car people today. He's like, we done been through all of this and that. You laughing for? Like, ain't nothing funny. That's $70,000 of my dollars. Ain't nothing funny about that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how to do that. I really don't know how to do that. So it's definitely interesting. Like you say, you have to want to do it, and then you got to be intentional. So
yeah. But my laugh thing is totally different from his. Mine is I'm being assertive when I say the stuff, and I'm giving my little laugh, like, okay, I'm being assertive, and I'm trying to be professional, but I'm so assertive with this, so I don't know.
Yeah, if you laughing at anything got to do with trying to be assertive with me, I wouldn't take that serious.
No,
prior.
Trust me, they do though. Professional people know, because they do it all the time. They'll say some stuff, and it's meant to be like, get it together, and they'll ha ha ha, But that ha 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 ain't a good ha ha ha. If you're in corporate, tell me, if you're in corporate America, when they laugh, when they say something ha ha ha, that's not a good ha ha ha. You know that you take that to mean like, oh shoot, they mad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take it like that.
Yeah,
I'm not. I can't.
I'm warning you now.
So that's the part that I'm talking about.
It's almost like they say, like, when they suggest you do something, that's not a suggestion. That means do it.
Yeah.
So
I would suggest that you go type that paper up or
my
send that
suggestion
email.
is that maybe we can change this wording. No, I mean change wording.
Well, I suggest you shut the
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, interesting article. Interesting thing that I think people don't talk about enough, or when they do talk about it, they don't delve deep enough into it and really understand the impact. And depending on when a person's partner says that their upbringing has been like, that may be the time when you're all saying like, okay, well, maybe we should start counseling.
Or deuces.
I mean, or you can start counseling, but it does bring chaos to your relationship. And you have to be one of the people that's like, okay, I'm willing to have to go through this. But that's the other top of the hour that I forgot to mention, because I was telling him how Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, after 20 years, they get divorced. And I was telling him, like, in the article was talking about how much Nicole had put up with him when he was like back and forth in and out of rehab. Matter of fact, to the point where she had to put a clause in their prenup saying, hey, if you stay out of rehab for every year you stay out of rehab, I'll pay you this much money. Yeah, so that was in their prenup. But what I was trying to tell him is I don't think that people understand that when you are in those type of marriages or relationships and the partner is constantly going through things that you are willing to put up with, I don't think people understand how much that can dilute them. So if you're going to be in that situation, I think it's important to be in counseling yourself so that you can keep a tab on what type of emotional drain it is putting on you, because sometimes people get to the point where they're so emotionally drained that they'll just be like, and they may not know that they're getting to that point until they get to the point. You'll be like, yeah, I don't want to be here right now. Or,
well, that's kind of, we had a discussion the other day, but that's kind of sort of similar to the cheating aspect too, because if you're an individual that male or female, that keep allowing your partner to cheat over and over and over, and you keep taking them back and try to work through it. That's crazy that just popped in my head like that. But you're trying to work through it. That person may get to the point of, okay, you know what? Yeah, I did this person wrong so long. I gotta stop. Right? And by that time, they didn't pour so much into you till they started depleting themselves.
Yes.
And then you could be doing everything right at that point, but it's just too late.
And the thing is, I think people don't understand that. You have to become desensitized to what the person is doing to you in order to stay there, right? And if you become desensitized, I don't know why people don't understand that also means you're becoming numb in your feelings, right? So why would that numb your love and everything else for the person? You may not know that that's what it's doing, but it is. At the end of the day, you're becoming numb. The first time somebody gets cheated on, they may boo-hoo and cry their eyes out. Second time, they may boo-hoo and cry their eyes out. By the time they get to like the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time, it hurts, but they're not reacting the same way.
They expect it.
And it keeps going on. So you don't think that that's also numbing the loving part of them too?
Yeah, that can go.
Yeah. And then they remind me of, I saw something about Michael Blackson. Is that his name? The comedian? You
mother sucker.
The one I always talk like he African or something. So I just saw something about him, and they were talking about how he had apologized to his fiance something. I guess he's engaged to some woman who just had a baby with him or whatever, because he was on Breakfast Club, and this is what was weird anyway. He was on Breakfast Club. He proposed to her surprisingly while they were on Breakfast Club, and one of the things she was like, "Bye-bye, side B's." Yay, right? So so that's what she said. But then he was in another interview and he was telling them how they don't live together. They only see each other like every other week. And she knows that I'm not a one-woman man and all that. And so I guess she got upset and she sent him a text saying, every chance you get, you're disrespecting our relationship. Because they said people have already been going off on her like, you stupid, because why you with that guy? He's always saying that it's like an open relationship. And so she was like, you're always, every chance you get, you're speaking negatively about a relationship. I don't even know why you want to be with me or why you keep calling me your woman.
Child support.
He posted that on social media. And then said, she's mad at me. And, my apologies, blah, 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 blah. And then people start going off like, why would you even post that? So then he took it down. I'm saying all this to say, like, apparently she's been going through some stuff with him. And I don't know if he even cared, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get, for her to say that to him, I'm pretty sure it's getting to the point where she's just like, whatever. I'm so over this. Like, I'm done with this. Like, you know what I'm saying?
She did the hard part. She had a baby by me. He got a whole lot of money, so she can cry on an island somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's just showing, like, she's getting tired, and you don't see that? Like, you still making jokes, like, you posting her how funny. So you can't tell that, even I can tell from the tone of it that it's like, this girl tired. Like, she's so over this and over you. And she's already talking about how she's dealing with postpartum depression and everything. And, and I'm like, she's over it. Like, I don't know if you don't understand that, but she over it.
and they're not married. So that's, And it's crazy because he just was on, I don't know how recent that was, but he was just on an interview doing the same thing. He's always done that. Now, I don't know how you feel about this. Neo, he actually said he got tired of hurting women. That's why he got 4 girlfriends. And all of them know about each other. They stay together, they party together, and this, that, and the third. And he said the reason he chose that because he hurt his wife, ex-wife, and then every woman he seemed to be with, he'll cheat on them and hurt them. So now I respect him from the aspect.
Leo got some childhood drama going on.
Yeah, he definitely does. I respect him for the aspect of realizing that you're hurting people. But I don't understand what you think you're going to get out of these 4 women. Because now with these 4 women, you tell them they can't go sleep with nobody else.
Oh, he do tell them that?
Yeah.
Oh.
If he said they can, but if they do, he ain't with them no more. But you can sleep with them 4 women. Now, again, if you sign up for that and you get hurt, that's on you.
It is.
Because it ain't like he coming in there telling, but on the same token, I don't know. That's why.
Yeah, people like he has probably some issue with it, with that attachment thing, not being close to people, and may unintentionally push them away because of that closeness. Because something.
I literally closed my eyes like, boy, this world is going to crap, right? And I looked up, and right, is this like nobody has God in anything. Nobody, like, it seems like it's hard to walk a quote unquote Christian or righteous lifestyle. I'll say it that way. But of course, it's hard if you don't try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no, you're not going to be perfect. Everybody is going to make mistakes and stuff like that. But if you're not even attempting to try, it's like you just throwing your hat in and say, forget it.
Right. That's true. Because, and then when you think about a lot of that stuff, even with the trauma that you, like a person had no control relationship, I got to convict you about some of the things you're doing, and you'll be like, oh, well, I need to go get help because I shouldn't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? This is not something
even if you don't start with the help part right away,
you're
gonna start. And I'm speaking from personal experience. You're gonna start feeling so bad that it's like, man, what the heck is going on? And you're gonna start questioning yourself, and it may not be at the rate that it should be, but you'll push yourself back and analyze, and then you'll change certain things.
Yeah,
you'll change certain things, and that's what happened to me. Like, I met my wife, and it was like, I'm not doing this no more. As far as how I was before, and it's that and the third, because of how I was actually at that particular moment in my life had hurt me. Forget who else I hurt. It was hurting me to be like that.
Yeah.
And I refused to hurt anybody else. Now, that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. How we ended up getting married, like, because we'll both tell you, if we were both in a different set of mind when we met, we would not be married. But on the same token, that's God as well in my eyes. But when you, not that I was, one thing I wasn't doing was running around chasing 1,000 women, or I wasn't chasing nobody. Once I met her, we spent most of our time together. But
so let's get that right.
Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with no.
Yeah.
Right now.
So, and that's the thing, though. I didn't want to do that anymore. I literally, it hurt me to just even think about how did other people. And I'll use my youngest daughter's mother. As crazy as she is, that bothered me that I even entertained her because of the person I was. Me being that person put me in the situation. I should have been grown enough, responsible enough to not even deal with her, right? I don't care what she agreed to. I should have been like, no, that's wrong. And I would have never been in that situation. And I'm pretty sure that I probably hurt her some type of way, which caused her, well, she's already crazy. But to bring her craziness out, her psychoness, I nurtures the craziness. But I obviously hurt her, right? She made that known, but that's because of who I was, and I didn't want to be that person.
Oh, that made me remember what exactly she said. That made me think that lady was over it. Who? Michael Blackson's fiance. She said, at some point, you have to look at yourself and decide that you want to grow and be a better person.
Oh yeah, she's done.
That's what she said. And every chance you get, you talk bad about her. That's what she said to him. I was like, yeah, she is a rap for him. It's a rap.
Because to me, that statement says it's not really about me. It's more about you.
Yep.
And you seem to still want to be a child and not understand whatever. So that statement was more about him not understanding maybe where he needs to be for her.
For her, yep.
So, and not even for her, but he needs to be not just for her, but for himself and anybody else, and his kid and anybody. Because when you become that selfish, it don't just relate to your partner, your spouse. That relates to everybody.
It does. It impacts your kids. The kids see how you treat the mama and everything else, and that's not a good thing. But anyway, that's all we have for today. We went over a little bit. I stole 6 of your minutes. But we will see you all next week.
Yeah, we're going to talk about why Diddy got about 12 years.
Don't speak that on that man.
I'm not speaking it. The prosecution's speaking it. That's what they're asking for.
I don't know what's going to happen with that trial. Everything is trials have been.
No.
Because society is so. There's so much lawlessness in society and everything. Like, I normally could predict or pretty much have a good guess of where a jury was going to go on certain things. But there's been some cases recently, the juries have just been way off. So I can't even call it. I can't even.
I just want to say this about Diddy.
In the sitting.
I just want to say this about Diddy. And then we can go. I know you got schoolwork to do. But I just want to say this about Diddy. If some of these statements that this man is putting out or people putting out on his behalf, talking about how he get out, he gonna throw a party on the
he said he was doing some type of big concert. His attorney said that.
So at that point, that's like he hasn't learned anything.
He's giving classes in jail, in prison.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I would take that class while I was in prison with him. I would take that class.
Yeah, so I can write a book and get rich. I was in the cell with Diddy. But hold on. Let me tell you something. It was Young Thug said this in an interview. And I was like, I respect him for saying this. He was like, which he didn't really beat his case. And I promise you, I'll say this. I want to hear your response on this. You're probably going to agree with me. He said in an interview, he said, like, yeah, I'm blessed. And I know God gave me another opportunity. And I appreciate it. I'm glad, I thank God for that every day, this, that, and the third. But on the other hand, when you beat something like that, you feel untouchable. That's what he said.
Yeah, Young Thug just need to stay off of everything.
That's what he said. So if he's thinking like that,
Diddy is.
Yeah, exactly. And Thug going back to jail, and he gonna do them 30 or whatever they got hanging.
Then he be crying, boo-hooing. Be doing stuff. I'm like, okay, y'all didn't know jail was a real thing. I'm confused. So, all right. Anyway, have a good night. I hope y'all got a chance to watch whatever football came on today.
It's still on. It just came on.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Better not be Steelers.
No, that's the Rams and somebody I ain't gonna watch. That's
okay.
why I win the game.
And we will be back next week before we go to the Chris Brown concert. Oh, are we on the field?
I don't even want to go.
I know, but are we on the field? You remember where the tickets were? Where the seats were?
No, baby, you bought them.
I know, but
you didn't show them to me.
It said people who are on the field have to go get a wristband because you get to go in earlier than other people. And I don't. If we're
you better not pay for no Chris Brown thing.
No, I didn't. But I'm saying we're not in the stadium, so that means we're in the field, right? We're not in the bleachers, so that means we're in the.
I don't see the tickets.
We need to go get our wristband because they said we can get in early and we can get the little shuttle bus thing that take us from the parking lot to the stadium and stuff.
Hopefully we're gonna be in the car. I don't want to get no shuttle. I want to drive to the front. I want to valet.
Anyway,
and it's gonna be hot.
And listen, this concert is gonna be dope because he is on the #1 for concerts.
I don't really want to go. I wish she had some.
He gonna go. He gonna have fun.
Hey,
too.
can you not go with tomorrow?
No, you gonna. She don't even like Chris Brown. They call him a pedophile or something, or a woman abuse.
Well, I don't like him neither.
Okay, but you gonna come with me because everybody else's husbands and stuff went with them.
No,
Yes, it did.
you
Owe it to me for having to deal with all your childhood trauma. See, there you go. He's gonna go. We're gonna have fun.
Why she want Chris Brown? She got Jermaine Brown.
Oh, you can get up there and dance with him, baby.
I'm not doing all that. Bones popping out her thing. Let me pop out of sack, man.